Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is up? It's a little late on Tuesday. Wow, I'm closer to the camera than I ordinarily am. Yeah, and of course we're going to play a little Hearthstone today. But of course you may have saw a flicker on the screen for just a single moment. Oh, that's right, we got to talk about this. This just dropped. This is hot. This is hot news. Upcoming balance changes. This is new. This is new dope hot shit. There's balance changes coming. Look at this. Innervate. Gain 1 mana crystal this turn only. Fire War Axe now costs 3 mana. Murloc Ward Leader. Your Murlocs have +2 attack instead of +2 attack and +1 health. Spreading Plague now costs 6 mana, up from 5. Fuck. You know what I'm saying, man? Damn. 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 Shit. Let me just note a few things. I think this change for Hex is, I think it's great. I think it's great. I think this is just a good change. I think this is just fine. I think Hex is, it's dangerous removal. I think it's, there's a lot of removal in Hearthstone, but there's also a lot of triggers and a lot of death rattle effects and a lot of, yeah, just a lot of death rattle effects. That sums up the biggest chunk of it. And the fact that Hex silences a thing and then removes it, like, this is like anti-Tyrion sort of shit, is really, really powerful. And so this change, I'm totally fine with. This one, I've done a lot of Murloc decks, and Murloc War Leader is just fucking really insanely strong. And I can also attest to having played a lot of mid-range Paladin, especially in Ungoro. I mean, if you get, like, turn 1 Vilefin Inquisitor, turn 2 Rockpool Hunter, it's very hard to remove either of those two. And then you do turn 3 Murloc War Leader, and it's almost an unbeatable position, just due to the healths being so high. So I think this is great. I like these two changes. Spreading Plague is a very interesting one to me because it seems very big without being big. Like, the thing that really hurt me about Spreading Plague is that you could, like, Spreading Plague and Nourish on the same turn with 10 mana. So that's pretty fucking sick. Spreading Plague is also just obnoxious as hell if you're playing against aggro decks, and as we've all experienced, if you're an aggro deck and there are sweepers on turn 6 and 7, aka Blizzard, Flame Strike, or Quality Consecrates from Paladin, 6 is like a good turn to try to play around, and the fact that it was coming on turn 5, I found a little bit obnoxious. Excuse me. Now, Fiery War Axe, I'm going in order of controversy-ness. Fiery War Axe, I think this is an amazing change. This is my favorite change of all of them, right? This is my absolute favorite change. Oh yeah, there's 3 more changes to note. Fiery War Axe, Innervate, and what didn't change. I think this is an amazing change because, in my experience, I feel like cheap weapons are the most consistently broken feeling things in the game. The most consistently overpoweringly, oh my god, so god. Spirit Claws, even Jade Claws right now, which Overload still feels very strong. And so Fiery War Axe basically being the only vanilla 3/2 weapon makes sense to me, right? It actually makes sense to me because, like, Rallying Blade that gets benefits to Divine Shield minions is totally fine to run without any Divine Shield minions. A 3-cost weapon that's a 3/2 is just, seems very solid to me. The Immunity Blade, the Shadow Blade Stabber thing from Rogue. Oh shit, I just knocked the power cable out of my monitor. You literally saw this side of my face go dark because this screen lost power. Oh my god. Oh god, help! 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 Ah! Ah! Okay, and now you're gonna see it go bright again. Watch this side of my face. And... come on. There we go. See, now I'm an even tone face again. Whew. So, the reason that I like this change a lot is that, again, a 3-mana 3/2 feels pretty good. Like, Eaglehorn Bow and Hunter is an amazing example of this. Eaglehorn Bow and Hunter with no secrets is awesome. But we might ask the question, well, what about the upside? Rallying Blade has upside. Eaglehorn Bow has upside. I think it's fine to have a version that doesn't have upside. You know, like Quick Shot is a 2 mana, deal 3 damage with an upside to draw a card. Frostbolt, 2 mana, deal 3 damage with the upside of freezing. And then there's Dark Bomb and Warlock that was perfectly fine and just run no problem. And even now, the not Drain Soul, whatever the 2 mana, deal 2 damage, and it has lifesteal. It's good. It's actually really good. So this to me feels a little bit like, over time we've seen that weapons that are really cheap. It's Drain Soul. That's why it's called Drain Soul, not Drain Life. It's Drain Soul. Drain Life is the 3 mana, deal 2 damage, heal 2. Drain Soul is the new one. But yeah, I feel like Blizzard is just over time going, you know what? This is about the right cost. And of course, many of you who play Magic the Gathering know about these types of things in Wizards of the Coast. They eventually got to the point where they're like, you know what? 2 blue and 1, that's like the cost of Counterspell. That's good. Not pay 1 blue and then draw 3, which is the most broken card in the history of the game, as far as I'm concerned. So this is fine. So I think all in all, I really like these changes a lot. I think this just is... This feels fine. This feels just like avoiding some bullshit. Murlocs are still very, very strong. This feels like just some tuning, right? This feels like some tuning. It's a nerf to Pirate Warrior for sure. This one. This just punched Druid right in the nuts, man. Just fuck, bam! Just like right there. Just like a flick and then a punch. And then fucking two fists fucking crushing the Druid nuts. Yeah, this is a considerable nerf. This makes me say, wow, I probably will not even run Innervate. Oh my god. This, first of all, I look at this. This immediately kills a lot of scary things you can do in aggro with Druid. Immediately, there's no turn 1 Flappy Bird. Immediately, there's no turn 2 Bittertide Hydra. This really murders the shit out of that. Now, that said, Jackie Chan, not the notable human, but the notable Hearthstone player. I love the way that came out. Not the notable ninja, the notable Hearthstone player. There we go, that worked better. Jackie Chan has built a lot of egg druids and aggro druids that did not use Innervate. So I think that this is... there's possibility to have aggro druids that do not run Innervates. I think that is a possibility. Jackie Chan has run many of them very, very successfully, so... Now, in terms of the thing that's making everyone shit their pants, I just want to express something that I think just due to the decks that I have been playing... the Jade Druids, I have personally not had a significant problem with. I have a strong win rate against all Jades. The worst win rate I have is with my little Frost Controller Mage, which is like 7 and 5 against just the slow Jade thing. And this will hurt Jade Druid, I think, because here I'm going to posit that Jade Druids will now go, I'm not going to run Innervate anymore. I think they might just not run Innervate anymore. And that being the case, this will slow Jade Druids down a ton. And the times when I lose to Jade Druid are when I draw a Skulking Geist in like the bottom 5 cards of my deck. And if Druid is just delayed 2 or 3 turns, now it just has to be in the bottom 2 cards of the deck for me not to get Skulking Geist for the win. So, I think that this is going to have a dramatic impact on Jade if Innervate is cut. It could very well be the case that you're Jade Druid and you just still fucking run the exact same deck, period. You do no changes. I actually think that that's going to be more acceptable and legit than you want to give it credit for. I think that's actually true. But I think that by and large, I have no idea how the fuck Druid works now. Because, like, every single Druid deck is built around, okay, what do I want to cheat out early with an Innervate? And then what would I want to do if I'm at 10 mana and I draw an Innervate? Interesting things. So I want to note, like, in terms of the meta, and when I'm looking at this, I'm noting things like weaker aggro, weaker aggro, weaker aggro. This is just a fine change. I think this is fine. And again, this is a fine change. This is fine. But I mean, like, Murloc War Leader, a shitload of mid-range decks, or even aggressive decks, were saying, like, I rely on Murlocs, and Murloc War Leader is your Jin card. Fire War Axe and Innervate were some of the big activators for aggro, so when I look at this, I'm like, huh. I worry that Priest is going to be insane. I worry. You know, here's an important thing that I think is sort of hidden in here, is that I don't want to... Okay, I'm going to make a big fucking statement, okay? This is the big fucking statement. All right, are you ready? This is a big one. I've used the F word 2 times for it. Fuck. Here's my big statement. All right, ready for the big statement? Design changes are about the future, not about the meta that we have in the past. They're about future things. Any design change, any balance change, any new design element that is being introduced is about the future, not the past. And it's very easy to go, well, duh, Sean, duh. Let us go into that in more detail. If you say, yesterday before this came out, what are the big things in the meta? Aggro Druid, Jade Druid, Highlander Priest, Pirate Warrior, and then some others. You know, mid-range Paladin. I'll just use these 5 because I like to keep lists small because it doesn't help make the point any better. Aggro Druid, Jade Druid, Highlander Priest, Pirate Warrior, mid-range Paladin. When people look at this, the natural intuition, which is again bullshit because your brain lies to you and all this stuff, and I mean, you can see this on pretty much any forum, on the Battle.net forums, on the Hearthstone forums. You see people going, how does this affect aggro? How does this affect Jade Druid? How does this affect Highlander Priest? How does this affect Pirate? How does this affect mid-range Paladin? And those are the only decks that people fucking analyze. That's it. These are the only ones. There's things that can exist now that didn't used to be able to exist. For instance, what is a big problem if you're trying to run any aggro deck that is not Token Druid, or Pirate Warrior, or Aggro Murloc? If you are running any aggro deck that is not the Aggro Druid, the Pirate Warrior, or the Aggro Murloc opening, you lose to one of those 3. There exists very few aggro decks that are not Token Druid, that are not Pirate, that are not Murloc, because all of those 3 dominant aggro decks shit on everything else. I was trying to experiment with like a more aggressive rogue variant. Didn't matter because unless I could go toe-to-toe with Pirates and aggro Druids and Murloc openings, I would get shit on. So wait a minute. Maybe now there are new and different aggro decks that can exist. Maybe now there are new aggro decks that can exist that didn't used to be able to exist anymore. Maybe there are more mid-rangey decks that couldn't exist because they would get shit on by aggro, either in the form of Pirate, of Token, or of Murloc. A lot of the mid-rangey decks don't have a lot of the big sweepery tools that a slower, more control-y deck would have. And so, there exist things that are hard to consider in the future that are sort of the misty unknown. And so, if I just speak intellectually for a moment, I would say I see the problem that this addresses, that Pirate Warriors are being strong. I see the problem that this addresses with aggro Druids and will probably have an impact on Jade Druids. I see the impact this has on aggro Murloc decks. I see this as a tuning thing. I see this as a tuning thing. Intellectually, I have that. Emotionally speaking, I just want more variety in the meta. That's really it. I've been very lucky in that the few decks that I have started experimenting with have turned out to be very successful. That's my Bloodlock and my Frostlich Jaina deck. I hit rank 2 and then the ladder was set, but the win rate was still staying close to 70% with both of them. And these just happen to work really great against the current meta of the Highlander, Priest, Jade, Pirate mixtures. So I'm not really sure what it's going to look like, but I'm super, super, super excited about things like maybe there's Handlock. Maybe there's mid-range Druid. I've really enjoyed mid-range Druid in the past. Maybe Hand Buff Paladin is going to be very strong. You know, a problem I had with Hand Buff Paladin before is that it was super hard to build up enough of a swing back if my opponent was doing his little innervating out Bittertide Hydra or running out the Fiery War Axe or all these sorts of things. So I'm emotionally just kind of in limbo. I think that it would be profoundly stupid for me to go, oh, this doesn't change the Jade Druids. Oh, Blizzard, the problem is the Jade Idol. I'm going to back up a moment and I'm going to note right away something I said earlier. It could be the case that Jade Druids literally don't change their deck list because a 0-mana Innervate that gives you 1 more mana is still okay. Maybe this is fine. Maybe this is just totally fine. Jade Druid still runs it. Maybe that's totally fine. But remember, part of what's making Jade Druid so strong is the meta of decks that it is up against. What if there are decks that can establish less of an aggro presence that could get shut down by a Spreading Plague or by a Jade Behemoth, and instead more mid-range decks can build up a board and burst down? Maybe Miracle Rogues are going to be able to just get that extra turn or two they need to shit all over Jade Druids, because suddenly these Miracle Rogues don't have to worry about their early stage openings. I think that there are there's a lot of possibilities there that I will be watchful for. Now, one thing I want to stress that I'm not saying Blizzard nailed it correctly, and you should be grateful for these changes, right? I'm not saying that you need to just roll over and be happy. I'm just saying don't be dumb about it. Don't take a look at the change. Be unable to play with these changes because they're not in yet. And then just decide what the meta is going to be like in your mind and get upset by the meta that's been imagined. Don't get upset by the meta that's been imagined. Here is what I think would be an appropriate process that would justify frustration, which would be if Blizzard put these changes in and Jade Druid was a problem, and then 2 months passed, and then Blizzard put another round of changes, and Jade Druid was still a problem, and 2 months passed, and Blizzard put another round of changes, then I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? Come the fuck on, man. Oh my god. You've done this a million times. I think, for instance, the one thing that I feel is consistently true about Blizzard is that they don't seem to want to use balance changes very much, and it's a digital card game. And part of me is like, Blizzard, I feel like you could use this more often. And I don't feel violently strongly about that, but I feel a little bit that, or I feel a mildly strong, an appropriate amount of strongness, because there's been a history there. And I want to stress that because design changes are about the future, they're about the meta that will happen in the future, you gotta wait a little bit, and you got to gather more evidence before you can actually get justifiably upset and angry. For any of you who are curious of another example outside of Hearthstone, I had the same arc with the Swarm Host in StarCraft 2. I loved the Swarm Host when it first came out. It made such unbelievably interesting games. It completely changed the dynamic of the matchup, and I really liked it until there was a period of time where it was like, okay, everyone's kind of figured out the way to play against Swarm hosts and what this game's like. Alright, let's just grind it out. Let's just grind, you know, and I kind of wanted a change a little sooner, but I mean, it was like, I don't know, I think like 2 years, 2.5 years of like just the same Swarm hosted games. Is that true? More like 2. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play myself some Hearthstone. And in preparation for this, I want to note that the thing... No! Get me the fuck out of here! The thing that is going to be very exciting to me is what the new possibilities are going to be like in the meta. And I would love to just chat about what we think... Get me out of here. What we think could be some cool decks to make. And you know what, since I liked that little segment, I'm going to actually do a cut like this. Snip. For the editors.